Episode 36, September 1914. I saw Rheims Cathedral burn, by G. Ward Price, Daily Mail War Correspondent, 1914. Read by Michael Lucas. On September the 8th, 1914, the first German shells came hurtling into Rheims, bringing death and destruction to the ancient capital of the Champagne district. Only 20 years after the war was the glorious cathedral restored to its original beauty. One of the most famous of Britain's war correspondents, Mr. Ward Price, saw the historic tragedy of 1914, and he describes the heartbreaking emotions which it evoked. In the opening weeks of the Great War, no single event made a profounder and more worldwide impression than the burning of Rheims Cathedral during the bombardment of the town in September 1914. After 2 decades of restoration, that masterpiece of medieval Gothic was reopened on July the 8th, 1938. I saw the historic tragedy of 1914 and was the only Englishman to witness it. I can vividly recall the horror and dismay of looking on the wreckage of one of the world's greatest monuments of architecture. It was made the more impressive to me by the fact that only 2 days earlier I had been taken all over the cathedral by the Abbé Andriot, and from one of its 270-foot high towers had looked across towards the low wooded hills from which the German batteries were shelling the town in a desultory way. "How this would burn," I had exclaimed, as we clambered up there through a network of ancient oaken beams, little thinking that so soon the flames would be roaring amongst those rafters, feeding fiercely on 14th century wood carving and splintering the famous amber-coloured glass, the secret of whose manufacture is lost. Those were the days when practically no news came from the front, the war area being strictly closed to civilians from outside. I had a car, however, and had been given a military pass, which enabled me to get out of Paris towards the front. It was thus that I had come to Rheims on a Thursday afternoon. Its streets were empty. The cathedral itself was deserted, except for a dozen wounded German soldiers picked up after the retirement of their own troops. After visiting some of the townspeople who were huddled in the deep champagne cellars, I went back to Paris, and 48 hours later returned to Rheims. The road crosses a plain from Epinay, and the twin towers of the cathedral stand out high above the low roofs of the town ahead. To my amazement, there was rolling up between them a sluggish cloud of dense black smoke. Shells were still falling in the streets, and to preserve my means of transport from possible damage, I had left the car outside the town, going on into Rheims on a bicycle that I brought with me. 3 French sentries stood by the gaping great west doors of the cathedral, for the old oak portals had been entirely consumed. They would not let me enter the building, but one could see the nave filled with a confusion of charred and still smouldering beams. The fire had started, I was told, at 4 o'clock the previous afternoon. A shell had hit some scaffolding round one of the towers and set fire to it. The priests had managed to put out the first blaze, but another shell, falling on the roof, set the old woodwork burning, and the wind had spread the flames till all the ceiling of the nave was alight. The sparks fell on the long piles of straw in the aisles below. The number of German wounded lying there had been increased to 130, and it was with great difficulty that most of them were saved. Not all got away. I could see their charred bodies lying crushed beneath the still smouldering fallen rafters. Even those who escaped from the burning building were still in danger. The soldiers and townspeople, infuriated by the partial destruction of their splendid church, tried to drive them back into the flames. "They shall go back and burn with the cathedral, or we will shoot them down," was the savage cry. The priests stood by the wounded men and reasoned with the enraged French soldiers. "You're mad, and will bring disgrace on France," shouted one of the abbés. "Anyhow, you shall shoot me first, for I will not move." Only with great difficulty and after some rough handling were the rescued Germans taken to refuge in a building close by. It is the nave that has been most injured by the fire. I wrote that same evening. The roof has gone, the outer roof that is to say, for the inner vaulting of stonework that was below the rafters still hides the blackened nave from the sky. The high altar itself remains, though its furniture, together with everything that stood in the nave and choir, has disappeared. The walls and towers are discoloured by the flames, but there does not seem any reason to fear that the cathedral cannot be restored. These vast medieval monastic piles are so solid and so bare of woodwork and furniture within that the flames can do little more than crack the surface of their stone and destroy their ornamentation. That forecast is today happily fulfilled. The damaged cathedral, patiently repaired, now stands ready again for worship, with the added value of serving as a lasting memorial to the blind destructiveness of war.
I go